So it's the festive season again, and I hope everyone is keeping safe and well. And as we're in the festive spirit, I got some very delightful treats coming up this month. Or as most of you know, I like to make a little cheeky tart or pie. So check out this festive bad boy. And if you're still wondering what it is, don't worry. It's one of my own creations, coconut snowball pie. So starting off with that sweet pastry and that sweet strawberry jam, followed by that coconut custard, topped off with that beautiful marshmallow, and then finished with toasted coconut. So if you're looking for something a little different dessert-wise this Christmas, this is going to be right up your street. And now I've got your attention, feel free to hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and also hit that notification bell to let you know when the videos are ready. So that's enough out of me, let's crack on with that snowball pie. So before we start anything, let's preheat that oven to 180 Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit. And before we do that sweet pastry, we need to start getting these strawberries jamming away. Not that kind of jamming. You know what I'm like by now. So you're going to need 454 grams or 1 pound of strawberries, and just take the tops, cut into quarters, and straight into a medium-sized pan. In addition, we want 200 grams of caster sugar or fine granulated sugar, which is 2 cups. And then 1 teaspoon of lemon juice to help activate that beautiful pectin. And then grab the pan and take this over to the stove. And then pop this onto a medium heat. And then give this a little mix round with a spatula. And then we're going to cook this down for about 20 to 30 minutes until it's a nice jammy consistency. So for the sweet pastry, we're going to need 75 grams or 1/3 of a cup of unsalted butter, making sure it's nice and hard, not soft, and then cut up into nice little small cubes. And then throwing it into a bowl, or you could be sensible and place it into a bowl. Then we want 1/5 of a cup of all-purpose flour or plain flour straight into the bowl. Then we want 50 grams of powdered sugar or icing sugar, which is 1/2 cup. And then you want to get your hands in there, rubbing that butter into the dry ingredients until it's evenly incorporated. So once the butter's all gone and you got a nice little fine crumble, you want to add 1 egg yolk and also 2 teaspoons of milk. But don't go too crazy on the milk. You could end up with a sloppy mix. And then give that a mix until it's all bound together. And if it's looking a bit on the dry side, just add a touch more milk, but be careful. And you should end up with a nice, beautiful sweet pastry ready to go. So we're going to wrap this up for about 5 minutes just to rest in the fridge. And if it's really hot in your kitchen, maybe give it about 10-15 minutes. So while your sweet pastry's resting, you want to butter up your pie tin. And lightly coating with flour, minus the face. I think I went a little wild on the flour. So grab your rolling pin and your pastry from the fridge, and using the excess flour, roll out your pastry just bigger than your pie mold. And once it's rolled, using your rolling pin, grab the pastry very carefully, and then wrap it up into the rolling pin. Slide over your pie mold, and then grabbing the rolling pin from the inside, otherwise it'll spin off, and then just gently layer the pastry over the top. And then pick up the sides and then just tuck the pastry into the middle. And once it's lined with no air pockets, grab your rolling pin and just run it over the top. And then it should just come off perfectly. And then you just want to go back round, just pushing the indentations back into the pie mold. And then keep the scraps, so you can always use this for other pies and tarts as well. So you've got 3 options for this when you're baking the tart. You could either go with the fork method and then egg wash. You could go with the traditional parchment and baking beans. Or you could even put foil over the top and just bake it straight off the bat. Choices are up to you. For today, I'm going with the fork and egg wash. And all you want to do is just pop a few little holes into the bottom of the pastry, just to stop it from rising, and just a few around the side of the pastry as well. So before this goes into the oven, I'm going to pop this into the freezer for about 5 minutes, and this will help it firm up and hold its shape while cooking. So not forgetting about your jam, it should be about there, should be looking something like this, and making sure it's not catching at the bottom of the pan or burning. So take it off the heat, and as this cools down, it will thicken even further. So take the jam out of the pan and let that cool down in a bowl. So that pastry is firmed up enough now, so we're going to pop it onto a tray, stop any buttery leaks, and we're going to pop this into the oven for roughly about 10 minutes. So now the pastry's nice and firm, we're just going to basically fill the holes with some egg wash and then pop it back into the oven for a further 2 minutes. And if you need to repeat this process and you feel it's not totally sealed, do it again. So our tart's come out the oven, it's good to go, so we're going to set this aside ready for later. So now it's time to move on to that coconut custard. So we're going to need 250 ml or 1 cup of milk, and then pour that straight into a medium-sized pan. Then we want 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, followed by a teaspoon of coconut extract. And then pop this onto the stove to bring up to the boil on a medium heat, but be careful it doesn't boil over. Then in a mixing bowl, you want to weigh yourself out 45 grams or 2.5 tablespoons of caster sugar or fine granulated sugar. Then we want 3 egg yolks, but make sure you keep the whites as we're going to need them for the mallow later on. 10 grams or 2 teaspoons of plain flour or all-purpose flour, and then 10 grams or 2 teaspoons of corn flour or cornstarch. And then just give that a little quick whiskey whisk until it's nice and pasty. And you thought I was going to do some more pasty puns. So once the milk has come up to the boil, pour little by little into the egg mix, mixing it around, and then repeat the process as this will prevent any lumps forming. And then pour the mix back into the pan and then back onto the stove. Onto a medium heat, cooking out those eggs until that custard is nice and thick. And then once it's thickened up, you want to leave this on for a further 2 minutes just to make sure you get rid of that eggy taste and the eggs are cooked out. So once that's fully cooked out, we're going to take that off the stove and pour the custard mixture on a tray lined with parchment paper. And then just carefully spread the custard out nice and thin, which this will help it cool down a lot quicker. And then grab another piece of parchment paper, lay it over the top, and then set this aside to cool down. So the strawberry jam is set perfectly. Now if you want to skip this step and you want to keep it rustic, go for it. We're actually going to blend this down until it's nice and smooth, ready for that tart. And you only want to blend this down for a minute until silky smooth. And once it's done, it should be looking something like this. And you could take it a step further by passing it, removing the seeds, but I think we're good now. So once the coconut custard's cooled down, we're going to blend this bad boy up. And if you want that extra coconut flavor, we're going to add about roughly 1 to 2 tablespoons of desiccated coconut before blending. And same again, you only want to blend it for roughly a minute. And then by the end of it, you should have a nice, smooth, silky coconut custard ready to go. So I think it's time to start assembling that first part of the pie. So grabbing 1 or 2 tablespoons of that beautiful strawberry puree, and then just carefully spreading it out in the tart. And if you feel like it needs a little bit more, fill your boots. And then followed by that beautiful coconut custard. And then we want to pop this in the fridge for roughly about half an hour while we make that mallow. So before we start weighing the ingredients, you need to put a pan of simmering water onto the stove on a medium heat. Then in the mixing bowl, we're going to need those 3 egg whites from earlier on. Then 75 grams or 1/3 of a cup of caster sugar or fine granulated sugar. And 42.5 grams of golden syrup or 2 tablespoons. A little pinch of salt. 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And as there's coconut in there, we're going to put a teaspoon of coconut extract as well. So grab yourself a whisk and take this over to the stove. And then placing it over the simmering water, giving it a continuous whisk for 8 to 10 minutes until it's really nice and thick. And if your hand drops off, you could always use an electric whisk. So my mallow took about roughly 15 minutes because my water wasn't simmering when I started. And it should be looking something like this, nice, thick, smooth, glossy, ready to go. So grab yourself a piping bag and a nice thick nozzle, and then pop your mallow into the piping bag. So grab your pipe from the fridge, and then all you want to do is pipe some nice little snowball circles, giving it a little swirl as well, over the top of the pie just to finish the garnish. And you can do all sorts of different sizes, from small to big. Just mix it up. And our pie should be looking something like this with all those different shaped snowballs over the top. And to give it those finishing touches, we had some toasted shredded coconut, which we put in the oven for roughly about 2 to 3 minutes on 180 Celsius or 350 Fahrenheit until it's nice, golden, and even. So just sprinkle a few bits here and there over the top. And there it is, folks, our coconut snowball pie. What an absolute festive treat that is. That crispy sweet pastry, the strawberry jam puree, the creamy coconut custard, finished with the snowball mallow and that toasted coconut on top. Oh my goodness me. So I'm actually going to cut down this week and skip on the tasting, but I guarantee you, I've had this before and oh my god, what a little gem this is. But we will do a little cheeky cross section just for you folks, just so you can see inside. And here it is. Oh my goodness me. What a little devil that is. There is our cross section with those 3 different layers. Oh my goodness me. So that's it for this week, folks. I hope you've enjoyed that festive coconut snowball pie. Oh my goodness me. Or I guess you could call it a tart. And as always, if you want to try this festive little treat, the list of ingredients will be below in the description box as always. Also feel free to give a like or dislike, and feel free to leave a comment, always appreciated. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you want. Also, if you want to come and join us during the week on Twitch, Monday to Thursday, 10 AM Mountain Time, we're cooking some very delightful festive dishes. The link is in the description box below if you fancy popping by. In addition, we won't be here next Friday again because we're doing a charity event on Twitch, but I won't be on my channel. I will be on the Rare Drop channel on Twitch, which I'll leave a link below in the description box. And we'll be starting at 10:30 AM till 12:30 AM Mountain Time. So make sure you come and drop by on Friday. It's for a good cause. Anyway, folks, I'm out of here for now. I'll catch you the week after next. So stay safe, awesome, and amazing. I'll catch you next time.